Peace, y'all. KT the Arts Degree here. I'm live in the UK at the Spiderman Decoded. Now, I am joined here with this warrior by the name of Malik. He about to break some info to you. And this is for all the people that ask me, why do I waste my time breaking movies down? This young man approached me and just dropped a bomb. So I'm going to pass him the mic. I'm going to have him give you the same information he gave me. Can you please repeat that wonderful breakdown you just gave me to the people?
Well, when he was talking about the representation of when Spider-Man represents Tahiti, because Iron Man is in the movie, Iron Man represents the other side of Tahiti, which is Tahiti, because he's more serious and more like wisdom, and has more wisdom, and is about like wisdom and knowledge, and he's like, he uses my art to weigh up the whether your heart's heavy or not. And I also want to say the reason they made the movie this year or this season is because right now we're in Tahiti cycle, and as if Spider-Man represents Tahiti and Tony Stark represents Tahiti, it would obviously have to be on a Wednesday, which would represent Kwaku of the Yoruba. Yeah.
And how old are you, Malik?
8.
8 years old. Bombs dropped. I don't even got nothing else to say. Okay? Stay tuned, y'all.
Peace and love, black families. The Prince of Pan-Africanism, Dr. Umar Johnson. I want to give a shout out to Black Ice TV. Make sure you watch it, support it. The news you can use, the information you can use. Youth, Pan-Africanism, economics, family, community. Make sure you support Black Ice TV, because Dr. Umar Johnson does.
It's sacred. On the die, mother and father is the basics. Rise like you're supposed to slip out the matrix. Still dumbstruck, thinking this is entertainment. Escape to reality. Most lives I'll keep you.
So we have a technology that will surface very soon called Spintronics. This is going to be the new form of electronics, because electronics deals with what? Electrons. And with electrons, you deal with what? Ones, zeros, right? But with Spintronics, you're not just dealing with the electron 1 and 0, but you're dealing with what spin the electron is in as well. So now you have a circuit that now, well, not so much a circuit, but now you have a situation where you can store more information, process more information, things like that. You know, so Spintronics, y'all can check that out. That's that new stuff. All right, so circulation of electrons and ring current. Okay, induced field reinforces the external field. Okay, DShielding. Why is that so important? We saw that played out in the scene in the movie on the Staten Island Ferry. Okay, where you had what? The induction of Iron Man coming in to finally save the day, because you had Spider-Man. For those who didn't see it, let me back up. But Staten Island Ferry is a ferry in New York. Okay, you got different boroughs. Staten Island is to itself, and when you leave from an area of New York called Battery Park, when you leave from the Battery, you get on the Staten Island Ferry. Okay, Staten as in estate. Okay, or nobility. That's where Staten Island is named Staten Island. The ferry leaves from Battery Park and then docks on Staten Island, so people can get to and fro. You can drive your car on there, and it takes your car over and everything. In this scene, Spider-Man gets into a scuffle, you know, with some henchmen, and this weapon loses control and just tears the ship up, and shoots and cuts the ship in half, like sandwich. And the ship starts to split with the water coming up. So as opposed to just seeing it as a boat that's falling apart, you got to see the dynamics of a structure that's splitting and falling, and gravity coming up, because that's what water coming up would represent. And the only way to destabilize that would be a certain physical law, and that physical law was played out in the scene between him and Iron Man, with Iron Man coming and having these structures that was able to push the wall back up and then seal it up. It was real dope. So I brought the 26 back because Iron Man represents that, because 26 is the atomic number of iron. Okay, yeah, we're gonna come back to that. Okay, so Iron Man is the elder. Okay, he represents Ogun, born on Tuesday. Okay, as opposed to Kwaku. So if I'm born on Wednesday and you born on Tuesday, who's more mature? Who's older? Me. The Tuesday guy, right? Just like him. So he's older. He represents Heru the elder. See, the thing about Iron Man is Iron Man represents a real rare Heru you don't see most often. But there's a form of Heru that has Set growing out of his neck. It's weird, you know, like he got mutated or something. But what that represents is like Medulla Oblongata, a reptilian brain, like a lower self, you know, having the angel and devil on your shoulders. You know, it represents that whole aspect. And they have that. So when you see Iron Man through a lot of his movies, he represents that dichotomy of Heru and Set in one. Because as much as he tries to help everybody, who's the main guy causing all the problems? It's always him. He created Ultron, you know what I'm saying? All the stuff they gotta fight is because of him.
Technically in the movies that happens, but not in...
Not in the comics, yes. Yes, he's very right. They have to change the dynamic of the comic books for the films so that y'all can be satisfied and so they can be consistent with the stories in antiquity. Because they know when they put it on these movies, they want it to mirror the stories better, so they make their little changes so they can accommodate. Thank you. All right, so Heru the elder, born on Tuesday, the Bay-Nu. He also represents magnetism and Ogun. Now, this character was the character that was making all of the Vulture's equipment and the shocker and all this stuff from the alien technology. His name is the Tinkerer. That's another name for Ogun. Okay? So he represented the Tony Stark energy in there because he was doing all the Iron Man stuff, building things, and they called him the Tinkerer. So a lot of Ogun energy in the movie. You see it with War Machine also. That's another extension of Iron Man, and he's gray. That's one of Ogun's colors, with all these guns on. You know what I mean? Guns is also Ogun. So I got these Lego Star Wars pictures up here, two sides of the Force. Because they were showing Star Wars throughout the whole films. And I know that this is something constant in all Marvel movies, as I said this in Guardians of the Galaxy, that they cross-promote. Disney bought Marvel, Disney bought Star Wars, Disney owns everybody. So when you watch a superhero movie, you're gonna see other Disney movies in there that's coming up to advertise to you. So when we first see Ned, his best friend, he got a little Lego thing of the Emperor. Emperor Palpatine, you know, the villain from the Star Wars franchise, and they keep referring to them building the Death Star. Hey, we gotta build the Death Star, and they have the big Lego Death Star in the movie. But this is so, one, they can promote the fact that, you know, next Star Wars Episode 8 is coming out this December, but also that this movie is about two sides of the Force. Okay, when you deal with Star Wars, you have the Force and you have the dark side. You know, and it's the same thing in here. Vulture representing the dark side and Peter representing the Force. And vice versa. Because depending on how you're looking at the movie, Michael Keaton could be looking like the Force, and Peter Parker could be seen as the dark side because he's not listening to his instruction from his elder. He's kind of doing what he wants to do and tearing stuff up in the process. You know? Alright, so this is after his first like introduction to the Vulture. He was like stopping these two henchmen with the weapons, and the Vulture, it was like a scary movie. It got me, like it caught me off guard. Because he's doing his thing, and all of a sudden the Vulture swoops in and snatches him up and takes him up like 1,000 feet up into the sky just out of nowhere. And it was heart pounding, but he ends up dropping, falling in water, and it just so happens that when he climbs out the water, he's sitting on top of a geodesic dome. Just so happens, you know, ironically enough, he looks like he's sitting on a spider web, and it also looks like one of the carbon fullerene molecules, okay? He's all wet because he just encountered Nekbet. Nekbet is a woman, it's the goddess. You know, he got dropped in the water, in the lake. He was saved by Iron Man. And Iron Man is representing the Sky God because Tony Stark wasn't in the suit. He was operating the suit remotely. He's operating the thing remote. That's Wi-Fi, that's radio, that's the air. So it's representing Sky God. And he was above him, and they were talking to him. You know, they was talking back and forth like an elder down to the youth. So they were just reinforcing the whole Enyame Anansi connection in this scene. Alright, so this is styrax. What is styrax? Styrax is a herb plant tree that produces benzoine. Okay, so when I talked about Uncle Benzene, the aromatic ring, and all that thing about electricity, all that came about by way of the benzoine gum that comes out of the styrax plant. Okay, so the history of benzene traces back to this gum. Okay. Alright, so this was like one of the favorite things in the movie to me was the training wheels protocol. So he gets like, Peter gets chunked off a lot as a child in the movie. And his friend, they're smart. They're in the decathlon in their school, and it's a science and technology school that they go to. So they're very intelligent. So he gets with Ned and he's like, yo, we need to hack into the suit, and see what else it can do, because I know it got some more stuff. So when they looked in there, they saw a program called the Training Wheels Protocol that was put in there by Iron Man to prevent him from accessing certain parts of his suit before he was ready for it. Okay? So we, as people that operate day to day, we constantly want to know, can I walk through a wall? Can I pick up a car? Can I fly? Can I be telepathic, telekinetic? Where are all these properties at? They're in here. Okay? When you look at your genetic code and you look at the amino acids, or the triplet codons that transcribe into amino acids, you'll find that you only got 20 amino acids, but most of them have about 8 different triplet codes that code for them. And what does that mean? That means redundancy. That means that you can use, in order to make lysine, I can use UHC or UCC or CUC, but that's not what it is. It's really that those triplet codons can code to synthesize other proteins. It's just that your training wheels protocol is still on. You're not mature enough. Okay, you're still eating like pig guts and cow foot and hot dog and bologna and shrimp and macaroni and cheese. As long as you're doing that, Iron Man is like, yeah, you ain't about to access none of them other programs because you tearing up the programs that I gave you. You can't even shoot your webs properly. Let's focus on shooting webs and swinging right now. So Training Wheels Protocol is dynamic because we all got one. And how do you break it? Breathing exercises, increasing your water, eating healthier, courage, not confusing fear and danger. Two different things. Fear and danger. Danger is the awareness of your environment and the fact that something is trying to inflict harm on you. Yes.
Fear is a choice.
Fear is a choice. It's an investment. Go ahead. What else? What else you got?
I'm saying fear is a choice, but danger is real. And the way you know when you're in danger or fear is because when you're in fear, it means you're scared of something that you shouldn't actually. When there's nothing to be scared of, something you're scared of is something you're assuming is dangerous. But what really is dangerous is when you think is when you like fear it, but then
Yo, niggas make a little pay, now they feel they made it. Still rock chains and whips, still on a slave ship. Our history is there and the rest can't change it. Schools don't teach it, seek it is sacred. Honor thy mother and father is the basics. Rise like you're supposed to slip out the matrix. Still dumbstruck thinking this is entertainment. Escape to reality, most lives are wasted.